Good afternoon, one and all. So today we're going to start about last class. We discussed about the new topic, that is the deadlocks. So in the deadlocks, we studied what is deadlock, what is the different deadlock situation, and we studied what is the system model. So and also we studied the following tasks sequences in the deadlock. So there is a resource request resource is there, then use resource is there, then release resource is there. Okay, so these are three major terms. Okay, so which we understood in the deadlock. Then after that we studied the necessary conditions for the deadlock. Okay, so what is the necessary condition for the deadlock? So there is a mutual exclusion is a one necessary condition. Then after that the hold and await is the second necessary condition. Then no preemption is the third necessary condition, and the circular wait is the fourth necessary condition. Okay, so all these four different necessary condition also we studied in the last class. Then we studied the resource allocation graph. What is resource allocation graph means? So we studied some three different graphs in the resource allocation graph, where we have resource like resource R1, R2, R3, and R4 is one instance of resource R1 is there. Then after that, so we studied the resource allocation graph. So in this example, we have this resource allocation graph A, resource allocation graph with the deadlock, that is diagram B, and resource allocation graph but no deadlock. So that is called the diagram C. Okay, three diagrams are there. So in that we have this resource R1 is there, which contains only one instance of resource R1, and there is a R2 which contains two instance of resource R2, and resource R3. Okay, so with one instance, and resource R4 with some three instance. Okay, so like this, we have some resource allocation graph. So in the resource allocation graph, so three diagrams we can make of the resource allocation graph with the process and the resources. Okay, that also we studied in the last class. Then after that, so we studied methods of handling a deadlock. Okay, so what are the different methods for handling a deadlock? Deadlock prevention and or avoidance is the one method, and deadlock detection and recovery is the other method. Okay, so two methods. One is deadlock prevention and avoidance. Next one is deadlock detection and recovery. Okay, so this also we studied. Then after that we studied the one more thing, that is called as ignore the problem altogether. Okay, so what is this ignoring of a problem altogether means? So of course, if the deadlock is there, okay, so we can prevent the deadlock and we can avoid the deadlock. Okay, so we can avoid the deadlock. That is the first method of handling a deadlock. Second is called as detection of a deadlock and recovery from the deadlock. Okay, so after detecting a deadlock, so we can recover from the deadlock. Okay, that is the second option which is available. The third option is called as ignore the problem altogether. We can ignore completely the problem. Means what? We should behave in such a way that there is no any deadlock situation is there. Okay, so simply, so we should ignore the problem. We can go through with the problem. We can go through with the application. Okay, execution of the application. So without any what avoidance, or without any detection of the deadlock. Okay, that is called ignoring it totally the deadlock problem itself. Okay, that is a third method, but preferably first two methods are we prefer. So that is called deadlock prevention and deadlock detection and recovery and avoidance. Okay, so ignoring is not good, but still, so this is also one of the option is there. That is also one of the option of handling a deadlock situation. Then after that, so we studied the deadlock prevention. Okay, so what is the deadlock prevention means? Deadlock can be eliminated by preventing at least one of the following four required conditions. Okay, so required conditions for the deadlocks are these following four conditions. One is a mutual exclusion, the hold and await, no preemption, and circular wait. Okay, so the deadlock can be eliminated by preventing at least one of these four required condition. Okay, so what is meant by preventing means, okay, so we should see that, okay, so there is a mutual exclusion. Okay, we should see that there is a hold and wait. We should see that there is no preemption. Okay, we should see that there is a circular wait. Okay, so all these are some of the four different condition. Okay, so which can be taken care. Okay, so for eliminating the or preventing the deadlock situation. So then after that we studied what is this mutual exclusion, and also we studied examples also. uh, Mutual exclusion means that this is a condition must hold for non-shareable resources. Okay, so the mutual exclusion, okay, so means what, the mutually there should be an understanding between the among the process. Okay, so they should have some kind of a communication, they should have some kind of understanding, so that, okay, so they communicate together, and they will see that if any shareable resource is there, that is properly shared. Okay, if it is non-shareable, no problem. Okay, if it is a shareable resource, okay, they should have some kind of a communication, so that only one process can enter to that particular this one. Okay, so the resource, and one process can use only that particular resource at any given point of a time. Okay, so that is called as a mutual exclusion. Okay, so for example, a printer cannot be simultaneously shared by several processes. Okay, so for example, a printer cannot be simultaneously shared. Okay, so we are not able to share the printer simultaneously by two processes at any given point of a time. Okay, so that is one of the this one example we can give for mutual exclusion. So that time, so we should have the mutual exclusion thing, okay, so in place, so that the printer is properly shared among the two process. Okay, so that is one of the example for mutual exclusion. Hold and a wait. Okay, the process must be prevented from holding one or more resources while simultaneously waiting for one or more resources. What is this hold and a wait? Okay, so sometimes what happens, the process will be holding one resource, and it is waiting for one more resource. That should not happen. Okay, so always we should see that. So whenever the process holding one resource, it should release that resource, then only it is it should release the resource, then only it can request for the new resource. Okay, so that is a condition. So if the process is holding one resource, it is still waiting for one more resource, or it is still trying to acquire one more resource, so then we get a situation called hold and wait. Okay, which is not good. Okay, which may lead to the deadlock situation. Okay, so that is a one more thing. And we also studied some example, like consider the copy of a data from a tape drive to the disk, then sort the file, then print the result to the printer. Okay, so when these three things to be happen, okay, so then we may get a situation called hold and a wait. Okay, so this is example given, and some advantages and disadvantages of also this explained. Then if you go for no preemption, okay, so what is this no preemption means? The no preemption condition is the resource must be preempted. Okay, so as I said, so whenever the new process is executing inside the processor, inside the CPU, so we should always see to that. Okay, so the process which is executing, it should be uh, preempted. Okay, so means what? So if a new process is coming, okay, so of high priority, the executing process should be suspended, and we should allow the new process, okay, um, uh, to take the CPU time. Okay, or to the allocate the CPU time. Okay, so that condition has to be there. Okay, if that is not there, then it is called as a no preemption state. Okay, which may lead to a deadlock situation. Okay, so for that, so there is a protocol given. Okay, so that is a protocol one. Okay, and protocol two. In protocol two, some example code or program is given, and the circular wait. Okay, so what is the circular wait means? As I said, okay, two process, they are holding a few resource, and they're waiting for a few more resource. Okay, waiting to acquire the few more resource. That it may lead to a circular wait. Okay, so like this, so we have a situation called circular wait, which may lead to the deadlock situation. All this thing we studied. Then we started the deadlock avoidance. Okay, so what is this deadlock avoidance? Okay, so this also I think we studied in the last class. The deadlock avoidance means the general idea behind the deadlock avoidance is to prevent deadlocks from uh, uh, very happening. Okay, so what is this deadlock avoidance means? Okay, the general idea, as the name says, deadlock avoidance means. So whenever we assume like there may be a deadlock situation. Okay, so the general idea behind this avoidance is just to prevent the deadlock from the ever happening. Okay, so if we are expecting the deadlock may occur. Okay, so that time, so we should think in advance and we should see that, okay, how we can avoid that situation. Okay, that is called as a deadlock avoidance. Okay, deadlock avoidance algorithm requires more information about each process. Okay, so how it is happening, okay, how it is possible to avoid the deadlock. Okay, so what we can do is whenever you design an algorithm, so we should give more information about the process. Okay, so if 100 processes are running inside a computer system, okay, assume, so give more details about that process. Okay, all the 100 process. Okay, when the process is starting, when the process is ending. Okay, what is the size of the process, what are the child process which is calling by that particular process, then when that child process is starting, when that child process is ending. Okay, what are the different resources which is allocated to execute that particular process, then for how much of time the resource is used by that particular process, and all other details about that particular process if you are able to collect and if you are able to give to the processor in advance, then it can help in avoiding the deadlock situation. Okay, so that is called as a deadlock avoidance. Okay, so he also explains that with a small example. Okay, example, in a simple algorithm, the scheduler only need to know the maximum number of each resources that a process might potentially use. Okay, so like this, some details about the scheduler. Okay, the maximum number of resources that the process might potentially use. Okay, so like so many different details, so many different very minute details also if you are able to collect about the process and if you're able to give to the cpu or to the processor at the right time, then it may helps in avoiding the deadlock situation by the processor. Okay, so it can expect, okay, it can think in advance and it can avoid the deadlock situation. Okay, that is called as a deadlock avoidance situation. Okay, then after that, so we go for next one, that is called as a safe state. So what is this a safe state means? Okay, so the safe state uh, is the is state is safe if the system can allocate all the resources requested by all the process without entering a deadlock state. So when we can say the state is a safe state. Okay, so for that we can give a definition like a state is a safe state if the system can allocate all the resources requested by all the process without entering to the deadlock situation. Okay, so what is our main aim? Okay, is to see that we should not enter, okay, we should not enter to the any deadlock situation. Okay, so how it is possible? Okay, so running that particular process, so in the safe state. Okay, what do you mean by safe state? So whenever the process requests for some resource, okay, so try to allocate. Okay, so try to give all that resource which is requested by the process and try to see that, okay, so we execute the process so without any deadlock situation. Okay, so if I draw one small diagram about this process and a safe state and unsafe state, so this is the diagram which shows so the safe and unsafe state. Okay, so of course, obviously in the safe state there won't be any deadlock situation, and in unsafe state so there will be a deadlock situation. Okay, so this is one of the small diagram which shows which one is a safe state, which one is a unsafe state. Then after that, a state is a safe if there exists a safe sequence of process. Okay, so when we can say that state is a safe, okay, and when we can say it is a safe sequence. Okay, safe sequence nothing but if I want to execute process P0, P1, P2 till up to Pn, okay, so I should get all the resources for execution of the process P0, for execution of the process P1, for execution of the process P2, for execution of the process Pn. Okay, if I'm able to provide if I'm able to provide all the resource which is requested by the process P0, P1, P2 and Pn, so then we can say it is a safe sequence. Okay, and we can see that the process P0 will execute because it executes with all the resources. The process P1 also executes because all the resources are available. Process P2 also executes because all the resources are available which is requested by the process P2, and Pn also will execute because all the resources are available which is requested by the process Pn. Okay, so that is called as the safe sequence. Okay, so we should see that. So we create a safe sequence in such a way that all the resources which are requested by the process are provided at the right time, at the right time, and we see that the process will execute. Okay, so that is called as a safe state. Okay, then after that, if the safe sequence does not exist, if it is not exist, then the system is in the unsafe state. Okay, if it is not exist, then we can say that the system is in an unsafe state, which may lead to the deadlock, which may lead to the deadlock situation. Okay, so that is clearly shown in this small diagram. Okay, then after that we go for resource allocation graph. What is this resource allocation graph means? Okay, if the resource categorize have only single instance of their resource, then the deadlock state can be detected by cycles in the resource allocation graph. Okay, so in the resource allocation graph, if the resource is having only single instance, if the resource is having only single instance, then the deadlock state can be detected by cycles in the resource allocation graph. Resource and process. Okay, so resource and process are represented in the form of a graph. Okay, as you can see here, the resource, these are the resources. Resource R1 is there, R2 is there, and process P1 is there, process P2 is there. Okay, so if the resource and the process, they are represented using the directed graph. Okay, using the directed graph, then it is called as the resource allocation graph. Okay, so in this diagram, for deadlock avoidance, unsafe state. Okay, so as you can see here, the resource allocation graph can be represented by two ways. One is called as for deadlock avoidance. For deadlock avoidance, so we have, okay, so graph that is represented by resource R1 is there, then resource R2 is there, process P1 is there, process P2 is there. Okay, so whereas if I go for unsafe state, okay, so say again the same diagram, R1 is there, R2 is there, process P1 is there, and process P2 is there. So what we are doing here, okay, so process P2, the process P2 is already using the resource R1. Okay, is using a resource R1, and automatically it is also acquiring. Okay, it is already using the resource R2, and it is requesting for the resource R1. Whereas the resource R1 is already used by the process P1. Okay, so if this is the case, if this is the case where, so we have a circle, as you can see here, process P1 we are starting, we go to the R2, then process P2, then R1. If there is a circle, then it is called as a unsafe state. So whereas here there is no any circle. Okay, process P2 is requesting for resource R1, and process P2 is requesting for resource R2. Process P1 is requesting for resource R2, it is holding the resource R1. So this is not a deadlock situation because there is no cycle. As is explaining, as you can see here, in this case, unsafe state can be recognized by avoiding the argument and resource allocation graph with the uh, climb edges. Okay, so using the edge graph, so we can create or we can draw the resource allocation graph with the edges, with the resource, and with the process. Okay, so this is shown in the resource allocation graph. Next, we go for the next topic, that is called as a banker's algorithm. So what is this banker's algorithm means? So we'll see what is this banker's algorithm. The algorithm is applicable to the system with multiple instances of each resource type. that is called as the Banker's algorithm. Okay, so Banker's algorithm, we have some condition. The algorithm is applicable to the system with multiple instance of each resource type. Okay, so multiple instance of each resource type is there in the Banker's algorithm. That is the first point. Next one is this algorithm is less efficient than the resource allocation graph algorithm. Okay, so we can say that the Banker's algorithm is less efficient compared to a resource allocation graph. So that is a one more thing. Next one is when a process starts up, it must declare the maximum number of resources that may needed. Okay, so that is the third point. Whenever we start up the process, that time only we should tell. Okay, we should declare these are the maximum number of resources that is that may needed. Okay, to create a safe sequence. And one more point is this number may not exceed the total number of resources in the system. Okay, so that is also one of the point. Next one is when request is made, the system determines whether the gathering the request would leave the system as a safe state. Okay, so that is one more point under the Banker's algorithm. Okay, so what is the main aim of the Banker's algorithm is to see that, okay, so we create a safe sequence. We create a safe sequence and we execute all the process. Okay, we execute all the process without any problem. Okay, so by allocating all the resources at the proper time. Okay, that is the main aim of the Banker's algorithm. Okay, so in the Banker's algorithm, first we need to understand some few terms. One is called as available. What is available means? Okay, so in the available, the this vector indicates the number of available resources of each type. Okay, the number of available resources of each type, that is represented by this available vector or available variable. Next one is called as max. What is this max means? This matrix indicates the maximum demand of each process of each resource. Okay, the maximum demand of each process, okay, of each resource, that is represented by this max. Next one is called as the allocation. This matrix indicates number of resources currently allocated to each process. If process P1 is there, if process P2 is there, the number of resources which is allocated to process P1, the number of resources which is allocated to process P2, it is indicated by this allocation. Okay, this allocation variable. Okay, so that is called as the allocation. Next one is called as a need. The as the name says, the need is the number of resources which is required for execution of the particular process. This matrix indicates the remaining resources needed for each process for execution. This matrix indicates remaining resources needed for each process for execution, that is represented by this need matrix. Okay, and for each and everything, so there is a formula given. Okay, there is a formula given for need matrix. Okay, maximum minus allocation, which gives the need matrix. Okay, so the Banker algorithm has two parts. Okay, the Banker algorithm always it contains two parts. One is called as the safe algorithm. One is called as the safety algorithm or a safe algorithm. Next one is called as resource minus request algorithm. Next one is called as resource minus request algorithm. Okay, what is the safe algorithm? Safe algorithm means, so as you can see here, safe algorithm. This algorithm is used for finding out whether a system is a safe state or not. Okay, I need to find out system is in safe state or not. Okay, what do you mean by safe state? So as I said, so when there is a process P1, P2 and P3 is there, and they require some resources for successful execution of the process P1, successful execution of the process P2, successful execution of the process P3. Then, so we should allocate all the resources for the process P1, all the resources for the process P2, and all the resources for the process P3. And we should see that process P1 executes, process P2 executes, and process P3 executes. Okay, if all the processes are executed successfully, so then it is called as the safe state, or then it is called as a safe algorithm. Then it's called as a safe sequence. So all one and the same. that is explained by this algorithm. Okay, so step by step explanation is given: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, so when we solve the problem, you'll understand. Okay, so what is this a safe sequence, what is safety algorithm? Okay, so this is just for your reference. So when we go for the algorithm, okay, solving, so that time you'll understand. Okay, so next one is called as a resource request algorithm. So the first one is called as the bankers algorithm. The second one is called as resource request algorithm. This algorithm determines if a new request is safe and grant it only if it is safe to do so. Okay, so what is this resource request algorithm? So in the resource request algorithm, so if the new request is to be granted, then we should make sure that after granting a new request, okay, so we are still in a safe state. We are not in a any deadlock situation. So that is called as resource request algorithm. Whenever the new request comes, so this algorithm always will check. So if I serve this request, if I attend this request, so then so I should not get into a deadlock situation. So I should be in a safe state. And if I'm getting into a deadlock situation because of this request, then it won't take that request at all. Okay, it won't take that request at all, so it will just neglect the request. That is called as resource request algorithm. When a request is made, okay, when a request is made when a request is made, uh, pretend it has been granted, then see if the result state is a safe one. So whenever the request is made, so what we do, so we calculate, okay, and we see that so still we are in a safe state or not. If so, grant the request. So if we are in a safe state, grant the request. So if you are not in the safe state and you are getting into some kind of a trouble, some kind of a deadlock situation, then deny the request. Okay, so that is the step of our resource allocation or resource request algorithm. Okay, so that is explained in this step by step procedure. Now we go for one of the example of our bankers algorithm. Okay, so as you can see here, so this is the example, this is the snapshot, or this is the problem given. Okay, so for solving, okay, so consider the following snapshot of the system. So where we have allocation, max is there and available is there, and we have this process P naught, P1, P2, P3 and P4 is there. Allocation wise, we have a resource A is there, resource B is there, resource C is there. In the allocation, so the 0 instance of A is allocated to P naught, 1 instance of B is allocated to P naught, 0 instance of C is allocated to P naught. Okay, so again, 2 instance of A is allocated to resource A. Okay, 2 instance of resource A is allocated to P1, the 0 instance of resource B allocated to P1, and 0 instance of resource C is allocated to P1. Same way, the 3 instance of resource 3 instance of resource A is allocated to P2, 0 instance of resource uh, B is allocated to P2, and 3 instance of resource C is allocated to P2. So like this, so we have allocation. Then after that, maximum. What is this maximum? This much of resources is requested for the by the process. Okay, process P naught is requesting. Process P naught is requesting 7 instance of resource A, 5 instance of resource B, 3 instance of resource C. Process P1 is requesting 3 instance of resource A, 2 instance of resource B, and 2 instance of resource C. Process P2 is requesting 9 instance of resource A, 0 instance of resource B, 2 instance of resource C. So like this, so these are the requests made by the process P0, P1, P2, P3, and P4. And what is available? Okay, so right now what is available, that is shown by this available graph. Okay, so that is shown by this available graph. Then now we'll go for the next part of our problem. Answer the following question using the bankers algorithm. What is the content of the matrix needed? What is the content of the matrix need? Okay, sorry, so what is the content of the matrix need? This is, What is the content of the matrix need? So this is our need matrix. This is our need matrix. Then is the system in the safe state? Is the system is in the safe state? That also we should understand. Next one, if a request from the process P1 arrives 102, can the request be granted immediately? Can the request be granted immediately? Okay, so 3 points, 3 points we should calculate. One is the content of need matrix. Next one is the system is in a safe state or not. Next one is if the request arises from the process P1, that is 102, can it be granted immediately? So that is a third point. Okay, so all these things we should calculate. So that is the problem given. Solution. So solution one, need matrix max is equal to allocation. This is the formula to find out the need. For find out a need, so maximum minus allocation. This is my maximum, this is my maximum, and this is my allocation. Okay, so this is my maximum, this is my allocation. If I subtract max minus allocation, I get need of A, need of B, need of C. Okay, for process P naught, then need of A, need of B, need of C for a process P1, and same thing for process P2, P3, and P4. So this is our need matrix. This is our need matrix. So which we calculated using the formula called need is equal to max minus allocation. Need is equal to max minus allocation. If I do, so I'm able to get the content. I'm able to find out the need matrix. Okay, so that is P naught, P1, P2, P3, and P4. So these five process to execute. So this is the need of 7 instance of A, 4 instance of B, and 3 instance of C of the process P naught. So like this, we are able to calculate. Then what is this solution number two? Okay, what is the solution number two? So it is about the safe state. Solution number two is it is about the safe state. So what is meant by safe state? Applying the safe algorithm on the given system. Applying the safety algorithm on the given system. Okay, so how to apply the safety algorithm on the given system? Okay, and how to find out the safe state. Okay, so that I will explain. Okay, so that I will explain in the next class. Okay, so we will see the continuation of this problem. So in the next class, so what is this safety algorithm and all? Okay, so thank you for listening.